Caffeine seems harmless. Good old cup of coffee, espresso, maybe some green tea. No big deal at all. But it kinda is a big deal if you're thinking about longevity. If you're thinking about aging. Caffeine's the ager. But here's the kicker. It's not the ager of males. Not at the rapid speed it's the ager of women. Caffeine can age men, yes. Enough of it eaten, enough of it taken, it can. But for women, it's a different story with caffeine. It knocks their adrenals hard. It messes with their hormones. It dries out their skin. It brings about wrinkles, creates wrinkles much faster than they would normally come. The amount of women getting cosmetic enhancements would reduce greatly if the caffeine industry wasn't controlling them. And if men consume enough caffeine in their lifetime, their faces will not just droop, they practically almost look like they're falling off. The use and the need for caffeine for women these days, and men, has increased greatly in just the last 30 years. Chocolate alone is a whole nother game compared to 20, 30, 40, and even 50 years ago. Chocolate's an everyday thing for a lot of people out there. That means caffeine is in the mix. So get ready for the ride, strap yourself in. We're talking about the caffeine machine. One of the more difficult and sad parts of caffeine addictions is a difficult childbirth. A strong childbirth depends on strong adrenals, and caffeine consumption weakens the adrenals, especially in women. Women need their adrenals strong, rock solid when it comes down to birthing a child. And if their adrenals are in fight or flight all the time, they're drinking caffeine, they're eating chocolate, getting exposed to caffeine that way, then they're always in this fight or flight. Their adrenals start getting numb, and they don't produce enough adrenaline when a real crisis occurs. But not just that. If they're always in fight or flight because of adrenaline being produced by caffeine, then they weaken in general. And then there isn't enough adrenaline in the adrenals for childbirth. Adrenals need a certain storage bank, and they also need the ability for high production when needed in a crisis, like when birthing a child. If adrenals have been beaten down by life or beaten down by events or struggles, there's already a susceptibility. Then the caffeine use takes it to the next level. And this is how pregnant women find the strength to push a baby out of the uterus and vaginal canal. It's through the use of adrenaline. That push takes large amounts of adrenaline to keep muscle strong and nerve strong. And the adrenaline delivers messages to the brain so the brain can activate every single nerve within every single muscle to gain the strength to propel the baby out. So weakened adrenals that are always being used by caffeine, can be a problem. They may not have that strength needed. So the pregnancy could have been more difficult because of this. There are precious reserves in the adrenals that are specifically for childbirth. Many women end up getting C-sections because their adrenals simply cannot produce the adrenaline needed to enter into the nerves, muscle, and brain to get the push to occur, or to give the woman enough strength to give that push needed.
A lot of people are eating chocolate. It's a thing to do every day. It's a hard world. I know we want comfort foods. We got some chocolate cake here. Look, nice chocolate ice cream, chocolate dessert, chocolate brownie. We got a chocolate ice cream here. We got a nice dessert here. We have hot chocolate here. We got a chocolate chip cookie. We got a chocolate bar. Hey, 90% cacao. That's a big one. That's a good one, right? No dairy in that one. So, hey, it gives us permission. We even have a chocolate ice cream cone. But what we don't realize, it keeps us in a vicious cycle because it takes adrenaline to counter all the chocolate every day. That's why you probably can't live on chocolate and only chocolate, because you'll be a mess in the end. It'll just take you down. You can't just have 6 or 8 chocolate bars a day, right? You can't do that. You know something will go wrong. So you try to do the moderation thing. Well, I'm only going to do a few squares of chocolate. I'm only going to do a half a chocolate bar this time. And in the end, it's just going to kind of take you up and then drop you down, and then take you up and then drop you down, and your adrenals scored epinephrine, and then you go down, and your adrenals scored epinephrine, and you go down, and that's how it works. But your adrenals pay the price. And hey, This might not be a problem if you aren't sick, if you don't have a problem, you don't have anxiety, you don't have depression, you don't have aches and pains, you don't have fatigue. Maybe you don't have anything, and you want to play the chocolate game, the cacao game, and everything else, right? And then you just go into the withdrawal where you eat a lot of chocolate or you eat a lot of different caffeine-based chocolate, and all of a sudden, boom, now you go down, and then you go up, you go down. But what if you're sick? What if you're sick? What if you got adrenal issues already? What if you got other issues already? What if you think you're aging fast because you're starting to kind of fall apart? What if you got aches and pains and fatigue? What if you got eczema, psoriasis? Or what if you got vitiligo? What if you have some other issue, a really high crippling anxiety or whatever it is, and you don't know it, but you're on the chocolate ride? You're going up and you're going down and you're going up while you're chronically sick. And that's where chocolate goes wrong. And the problem is, a lot of people in the health world, they'll just recommend it. They'll be like, of course you can have some chocolate. Balance it out. Have some moderation. Only do about half a bar every day. Yeah, it'll make you feel good. Cacao's good for you. Did you read that last study? They say that it's actually great and it has an antioxidant. Meanwhile, it brings you into a vicious, addictive cycle of up and down. It starts to break down and wear the adrenal glands down. It can make you really emotional. The withdrawal's really hard for a lot of people. And when you're sick and you're struggling, chocolate is not a good idea. Chocolate could get us in trouble. And hey, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding too, so that's another thing all in its own you got to keep in mind, right? So if you're breastfeeding, you have to remember, if you're breastfeeding, the baby's getting all of that caffeine, so the baby's going on the ride with you. The baby's like, yeah, whoa, we're going up, and then whoa, we're going down, or wow, we're crashing. Whoa, we're going up, we got the caffeine. Now, whoa, we're going down, because all that caffeine's in the breast milk, and that's something to know. And if you're pregnant, the caffeine is going into your baby, and your baby has to go through all those ups and downs, and that's what you don't know. That's what's happening. It's like, honey, my baby's kicking. Can you feel that? Well, that could be a withdrawal moment, or that can be a really high moment. We have to keep in mind that caffeine is a psychoactive drug. It's all in chocolate. Takes a lot out of your adrenal glands. We get addicted to it real quick and easy. Everybody knows it because you're not supposed to be eating chocolate cake all day, and you know why, and you got to watch out how many hot chocolates you have. You can't be eating chocolate bars all day because you know why, because that will mess you up if you're on 10 chocolate bars a day. It's not like you can eat 10 bananas a day, and that's fine. You can eat 10 apples a day, that's fine. But you eat 10 of these a day, these 70% chocolate cacao bars, and you're going down for the count for a nighty-night nap, or you're going to be so jacked up and shaking like this in the car while you're trying to drive. You just got to remember, if you're chronically ill, you got to look out for yourself. You got to be careful. Look out for advice about how chocolate's good for you and you could eat chocolate and healthy chocolate. Be really cautious. I'm just looking out for anybody who's sick. If you're not sick and you don't have a problem, you want to go on that roller coaster ride, you feel indestructible right now, this time of your life, just go ahead. But anyway, it still costs a price, and it still takes a lot out of our body. You guys, I'm not trying to be like a downer. Hey, don't do your chocolate, don't have fun, don't do whatever. It's not it. It's just that if you're sick and you need an edge, if you're suffering with a symptom or condition and you're struggling, and that means a lot, right? Like if you're sick, if you're struggling, if you're down and out, don't you want every edge you can get? So I'm not trying to be the food police. I'm not trying to be the downer about it all. It's just that it's hard when you'll hear out there in social media and everywhere, you'll hear doctors' offices, everything, that I have doctors call me every day about it and be like, look, like a patient's coming in, they're losing hair. What do you think it is? Just to get them off the caffeine. And I'm like, well, I thought cacao was good for people. It's not. That's your hair loss for women. It depletes a specific adrenal hormone, a compound in the adrenals, so that women lose their hair. And they're not supposed to lose it. Women aren't like men. They're not supposed to lose their hair, but they do because of the caffeine. So, and the caffeine industry wants you hooked on cacao, wants you hooked on the drugs. That's what it is. But it's like, yeah, you can eat it. Yeah, if your life is going good, you feel good, you got nothing wrong with you, and you don't really care about symptoms or anything like that. You don't care about hair loss 10 years down the road or 2 years down the road or hair thinning. Yeah, you can have the cacao. But here's the thing with dark chocolate. You'll hear, well, dark chocolate's even better for you. That's funny because it's worse for you. The darker the chocolate, the more concentrated the caffeine, because the caffeine's the killer. Caffeine is the youth robber. I'm letting you know. It's the youth bank robber is what it is. You want to age faster, caffeine gets you there. If you want all those sunspots all over your face and you got to go and get them lasered off, if you want all the sunspots, if you want all these crazy moles growing all over your body, if you want like skin tags growing on your body, caffeine's going to get you there fast. So that means when you're 33 and now you're 34 and then you get all these sunspots everywhere in your face and you got to put makeup to hide it and you got to go and get it lasered, that's caffeine talking. And that's chocolate and caffeine. That's all that talking. And some people don't need a lot of caffeine in order to make that happen. Some people just need a good year of it. Some chocolate bars here and there, and boom, they start getting their sunspots. But the dark chocolate is actually just worse because it's more concentrated caffeine. So you'll hear, oh, it's better for you from a whole bunch of people that don't know why anybody's sick. And that's we get in trouble. Did you drink any coffee, eat any chocolate, drink any matcha tea, any black tea throughout the years? Because the hair loss comes later and it all falls out and went with women. And the timing doesn't always have to be the same. I've seen 20-year-olds drink it for a couple of years and it all comes out when they're 25, 27. They're at these autoimmune doctors. They don't know what's wrong. Alopecia is starting. And you can drink it for 10, 15 years, 18 years and keep your hair. But when you're now 65, it's all going to fall out. And then you're wearing like a wig. The greatest joke ever played on women, which is the sickest joke by the industry. Get them addicted to caffeine. Get them addicted to chocolate throughout their life. This way, their hair falls out later because it just does because of it. Because the adrenals lose their hormones, and then the hair follicles die. And then women lose their hair. Now, maybe you didn't have chocolate ever in your life. Maybe you didn't have caffeine ever in your life and you got some hair loss there. Well, then you're still losing the hormone in the adrenal for other reasons, and we got to talk about that. And sluggish liver, low-grade viral issues. You're not taking care of your adrenals. You're not eating enough meaning you're not eating enough snacks for adrenals. There's all kinds of reasons. So keep that in mind. I talk all about that in the information, and maybe a bad event happened in your life, a divorce, a betrayal, someone stabbed you in the back and twisted the knife too hard, and which is terrible because that's what happens out there. Maybe a couple of emotional bullets hit you because that happens every day out there. Broken trust, dear Lord. Broken trust, betrayal, broken heart, everything, and losses. That could also knock the hair off your head years later, like 3 years later, 5 years later from a stressful event. Your adrenals are running from the emotional event all the time. And if you're somebody who does caffeine, your adrenals are running during the caffeine, and boom, that hair's gonna go. For women, it hinges on these things. Sure, a piece of chocolate's harmless, I get it. A cup of coffee's harmless, an espresso's harmless, sure, but the hair falls out later. But we gotta physically support ourselves, okay? And get it free at the library if you want, okay? Like I said, everything's free. The hair thins, the hair falls out for women. There's that. The sunspots all happen, and they gotta all get the laser techniques. The hormones get all imbalanced, right? So all that is coming out of the adrenals. All that's, it's because of the adrenals, because of the caffeine. So a lot of women suffer from hair thinning, hair loss after pregnancies, even if it's 6 months after childbirth, a year after childbirth, 2 months after childbirth, during childbirth, and because so much adrenaline was used and caffeine was stimulating so much adrenaline, so you get the hair thinning. Caffeine. We got chocolate. Teeth destroying diet. Your teeth are going to suffer. They just are. I'm not trying to just be like, you guys, look, I want to make your lives miserable today. I want to tell you about caffeine and chocolate because you guys are most everybody's on it. If you know what causes teeth problems and you learn and you still do it, I don't know what to say. Just when the teeth are falling apart and you're getting more root canals and you're getting more teeth work and more cavities filled and your gums are getting that plaque underneath the teeth, just know some of the causes. So a lot of people think chocolate's healthy. Chocolate's good for you because we're taught that. We're high on chocolate. We're high in the caffeine. Life's hard. We need that rush. We need that coffee. We need that caffeine there. Coffee is so acidic. It's another teeth destroyer from the inside out. So when it comes down to coffee, it's a little different than acetic acid. Coffee happens to be extremely acidic. What it does is it kills those adrenal glands. It kills your stomach glands. It starts to actually cause problems, deficits in those glands, so your adrenal glands and your stomach glands. Both those, believe it or not, do help and protect your teeth over time. But what we do is we drink coffee every single day. Not only is the acidic nature of coffee really harsh on enamel. Did you ever hear about coffee stains, right? Coffee stains. Coffee stains are different than if you eat a whole thing of blueberries. Blueberries, that's a pigment that's anthocyanin. That gets into the teeth sometimes. Chocolate stains the frick out of people's teeth. You see that right there? Chocolate does so much staining. And then, if you got somebody who's compromised and they're chronically sick, you guys, they're also doing chocolate. They got the caffeine cranking in their system. Chocolate wears away your calcium reserves. It breaks down your immune system. I can't tell you how many times over the years, helping out people, all these decades, did I see when someone went on a chocolate binge, they broke out a week later with a simplex, cold sore fever blister. Chocolate binge, fever blister. Chocolate binge, and then a new bout of mono. Chocolate binge, and then an abscess in the tooth. Jaw starts to hurt. The point is that our immune system can only do so much when we tip the scale and death by 1,000 cuts and we push things over the edge. It's not our fault. It's nobody's fault. It's a hard world, hard life. But there's a real reason why people's teeth just start falling apart over time. There are so many different angles we can do to protect our teeth, down from the basic first fundamental options right down to going as far as we want to protect our teeth. And the first thing I would tell anybody right off the running, hey, AW, I want to keep my teeth. I don't want teeth problems every minute. I want my teeth to be okay. Boom, vinegar gone. Boom. Chocolate, boom, gone. Woo. Just gone. Coffee, bing, gone. A lot of coffee shops put salt in the water, in the machines. So it becomes coffee, salt, water coffee. They don't advertise it. You don't know it. Nobody knows it. But sodium is in a lot of coffees. Not in everyone, but let me tell you, a lot of them do. And there's a reason for that. They want their coffee salty. And then when you add your sugar and your milks or whatever you add, your soy, whatever it is that people like in their coffee, you add that in. And then that, plus the sodium that's additionally added, you have yourself a coffee that becomes really addictive. I mean, you can go to the same coffee chain for a lifetime because of it. So not only do you have the caffeine addiction right there, but you have the sodium and the caffeine combined. Because you're scared shit of the chocolate. I'm gonna have a little square of chocolate because I'm only gonna hurt you a little bit. Why do you have to eat a single square? Are you afraid? Why are you eating a single square? Huh? Because you're scared shit to eat the whole bar? Why? Because you eat a whole chocolate bar every day? You're going to feel it. You're going to start getting sick. It's going to wear you out. How about 2 chocolate bars? Why don't you have 4 chocolate bars? I need the chocolate to eat my high. I got to keep it to a square. Caffeine is a neurotoxin. You're keeping it back. Like, I'm just going to have a square because that shit's crazy. That's why. Because you know it ain't good for you, and that's why you're eating a square. If it was good for you, you'd be eating 2 or 3 chocolate bars every single day because the stimulant gets you high, and you don't like the way it feels, but there's payback, baby. There's cause and effect when you eat that chocolate. What goes up must come down. And guess what comes down? And guess what gets shot? And guess what gets beat up? Is your adrenals. Adrenal glands. Hey, little adrenal glands. I'm going to have a little square of chocolate, a little piece. Don't you worry, because I'm only going to hurt you a little bit, not a lot. Remember, adrenal glands, the studies say that there's really good stuff in chocolate. They always say they're right. The right amount of frog poison to make me high and shit my brains out and puke my brains out. Oh, give me that frog poison. I hear it's really good. You put it in an edible. Just a little bit is medicinal, you see? Oh, yeah. We talk about how we care about what we put in our bodies out there. Everybody just wants the best shit all the time. They go to the best stores. They just want the best stuff. But I'll go and just for the sake of it, put some poisonous psilocybin in my veins and in my heart and in my brain because I'm looking for a high. Life's really hard. I get it. And I'm not judging anybody because guess what? Life is hard and it pushes us to do things. But don't throw the scientific BS at me about what a study is on cacao, because women know that they gotta be careful with that stuff for a lot of reasons. They know that stuff will make them sick, jacked up, panic attacks, wiped out, and addicted like you're a fiend. What is wrong with cacao? Just really kills the adrenals. It gives women hard childbirths. Because your adrenals get clobbered when you're doing cacao. Clobbered. So you're using them like a credit card. You're using them. You're using all your credit card power out of your adrenals. So if you're someone that's dealing with adrenal fatigue, or any kind of adrenal issues you don't even know you're dealing with, or kidney issues on any level that you don't even know you're dealing with, or brain problems you don't know you're dealing with, like nervous system issues, cacao kills your nervous system because it jacks up the adrenaline. The adrenaline floods into the brain and destroys nerve sheaths because adrenaline's so corrosive. It's like corrosive. You're taking adrenaline that you shouldn't be using. You're creating a stimulation you're not supposed to be creating. So it's a drug. And so cacao really prevents healing. Okay, fine. If you're not so sick, and we just did a big talk about people who are not so sick, they can play in any land they want. I'm going to eat a whole shit ton of eggs. I'm going to eat all the cacao I want. I could do what I want, right? When you're not so sick. But when you get really sick and the scale tips and you start doing that cacao, you can't heal. The chocolate industry, the caffeine industry has a lot of money behind it. They will tell you that it has antioxidants and cacao's good for you and caffeine products are good for you, but they're not. And they really, really rip apart the nervous system. They damage the brain over time, and they cause the adrenals to just flood. What the cacao does for women is it makes it so many women have to have a C-section when they weren't planning on a C-section. That's what cacao can do. Years of cacao and chocolate, coffee, right? All of it. They have think tanks that are designed to really keep people addicted for a lifetime. So the caffeine industry has think tanks that are designed to make sure that you stay on caffeine for the rest of your life and that your baby becomes addicted to caffeine and all that carries it on. Moderation is one of those practices. There's nothing wrong with having that. You should have what you want. You need to balance it. We're told that if we only engage in reasonable amounts, questionable foods, and certain practices such as microdosing caffeine and even alcohol can benefit us. If it's in small, reasonable dosages, it could benefit you. That's what we're taught. So we give them a try and we end up set back even more in our healing because our conditioning is so strong. That's what happens on planet Earth. We're up against an immense amount of conditioning here and brainwashing. We blame ourselves for these practices not working out instead of blaming the substances themselves. We don't know how to blame the substances. We're conditioned to think the substances are fine, like cacao, coffee, so many other things. And this isn't just a cacao and coffee thing. I'm talking about those two little examples. We may even become so attached that we guard these practices with our lives. Kombucha tea can turn your blood into acid. It's info for over 30 years now out there. It literally can turn the blood into a straight acidosis condition. But people love their kombucha tea. Most kombucha tea has caffeine in it.